Claude Mugisha. I came to United States in 2015. I was 15 years old. So I was born in a camp. My mom and dad, they all from Congo, so we did not really know where they came from. Sometimes they said they used to live in Rwanda a long time ago and they moved to Congo. And after the war started again, they moved back to Rwanda, so we do not really know where they came from.
I came in the United States when I was 15. I came with my family. We are 7, 2 boys and 3 girls, and my mom and my dad. I was born, raised in a refugee camp in Rwanda, but my family, they from Congo, but I was born in Rwanda. Yeah, so basically I came here as a refugee.
I am originally from Somalia, and I've been in the US for the past 13 years, and I currently run a non-profit called ASILI, working with African youth.
My name is Ndayisaba. I'm from Rwanda, born but raised in Louisville.
My name is Emmanuel Grudya. I was born in Congo, DRC Congo. I grew up in Uganda. I moved to Uganda because of the war that was going on in Congo. That was around 2003, 2002 there. I was technically 3 or 4 years old. I can't remember. I moved to Uganda for that.
So I was born in Qatar, but my parents are from Somalia, like I said, and they were born and raised there. They got married there, and they had my oldest brother there, but we had to flee because of civil war.
The first time I can remember, the time they asked us to move to United States, that was when my dad used to have one leg, so they asked us to go to United States, but my mom was saying no. That was the first time because they know we were struggling with the things. It rained too much, you can take the house off, so all of those reasons, that's why they asked us to move.
As a child, you have no experience at all, so you just enjoy we play football quite often, so we just go outside and play football, come back home. I didn't have no responsibility at the time, except fetching water. Sometimes there will be a lot of people at the river, so you have to go down further to get the water. It will take you about, I think it's about 30-40 minutes to walk, depending on how many people going looking for the water, I guess. And that's the only responsibility we have, and other than that, there's nothing else to do. Just play football, basketball, volleyball, and that's it.
Working. They were working like days, weeks, months. Like they didn't have cars, no bicycle, no nothing like that. They were just working. Most of them die on the way. I have a lot of people that I know that came with my family, and my cousins, my aunties, my uncles. They came like a bunch of different people.
So in Somalia, we have like a tribal system thing, where we have different tribes, and my mother's and dad's tribes are similar. They're like cousins. But because of the tribal system, there's conflict between specific tribes, and it's usually like a regional thing along with the tribal thing. And so there was like a threat put on my family members by another tribe because there's like long-standing conflict where I kill one of your family, you kill one of my family members, I kill one of your family members, you kill one of my family members. And a big part of that is why the Civil War started. And that is why my parents had to flee, especially after they had their first child.
Yeah, it was like a discrimination day against them. Like it started back in days, but they didn't kill them at the time. But then after like a few years, they started killing them, and then they just start fleeing from Congo to Rwanda in 1997.
We stay in the camp the whole time, so they advise you not to go too far. But even if you do, sometimes we used to go too far out there in the city. I would say we're considered that in the Bume, but there is a place where there's a lot of people, big supermarket. So we used to go that far, but our parents, if they knew about it, we get punished for it.
My experience coming to the U.S. was very interesting. I think I was on the plane for like 16 hours. So they'll bring food on the plane, but me not knowing the language, I'll see peach, I'm like, what is that? Ew. And I just take apple juice and I'll be straight for like another 2 hours.
I think my dad passed away 2012. So that was when me and my brother, they have to separate us. So my little brother was living with my mom, and I was living with my auntie. My brother Watumu was living with my cousin. So all of that, we were struggling with things. Then our name came again to move to USA. My auntie, who I was living with, their name came. So she put us on her documentary so we can move to America. That's when my mom said yes.
Well, obviously their life was bad because they didn't have enough food to eat. They didn't have anywhere to stay. They was just making a little tent for people. There's this World Food Program. I don't know if you know that. They were just helping them to get food and water, like a basic stuff.
Well, I mean, a better life, ideally, is what we thought. That is why my mom sought refuge with the United Nations, because in Syria, there's no future that you can have outside of maybe finishing high school, and then you have to figure something else out.
Now for the better education and better health. My parents thought there was a better opportunity than living in a campus. It's not up to my parents to decide it, so it's a UN. It's an organization called UN or UNICEF. The process usually, sometimes, some people takes longer, but for us, it took about a year and a half, I think. Some people takes even longer, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. But we got lucky, so it only took a year and a half.
We had to go to a couple of interviews, and they say why. They was asking like, why can't you go back to your country? And we're like, well, there's wars going on in our country, so we can't go back there. That's why we choose to come to the United States. We're supposed to go to Europe, and then plus it took too long, then they changed it. So we came here. Yeah, it took like, 5 years? Yeah, it took us 5 years, but other people it may take like 2, 3, but ours it took too long.
When we landed, it was so chaotic. We were like extra confused and lost, but we had the UN bag, so there was a guide, as soon as they see your bag, they start waving at you, like indicate, and then you go over there. Then they'll take you to your next plane. Then we landed in Chicago, but at that point, some of the families we came with, that's when they started getting on different planes, going to their resettlement locations. But we had to go to a hotel to wait for our plane to come here in Louisville, and we was in the hotel for 3 days.
When I moved here, everything changed quickly. The first time I didn't like it because I was too bored. You have to stay inside all day long. But in Africa, you used to going outside playing or, In 1 month, I was like, I want to go back. You don't got no friends and you don't see anybody outside.
As it's shown in the movies and songs, like I thought I was going to be in the big mansion all by myself. I drive my own car. I didn't know how to pay rent. I didn't know how to pay for the car insurance. I didn't know order. I thought it was better than it is right now. I mean, it's good for me, but I thought it was way better than it is right now.
I thought it was the best place ever that is. So it was, my expectations was just you pretty much get whatever you want. Like we see it on the TV, nice cars, nice houses. Pretty much everything was going to be completely the opposite of the life we had before. You just pretty much, whatever you want, you just get it without any hardship. I thought it was going to be like way, way better, like everything would be easy.
That's a funny story. People was saying, if you need the food, you just going to have to say, I need the food, then the robot's going to give you the food. If you need to be in the bed, you just say, I want to sleep, then you immediately find yourself in the bed. All of that, I didn't believe it, but some people believe it. My expectation was going to be in a better life, but still, it's better life than Africa,
What the U.S. meant to me at that point, I would say it was paradise, because not only were you getting a better life, you was going to get money, and safety was guaranteed to an extent, because the U.S. is not perfect when it comes to safety to an extent. But I'll say it was far way better off than staying over there, because not only are they still having wars, they're still in poverty. They probably don't got the necessities to live, like firewood to cook, water, clean clothing, safe houses. Like the houses like mud and there's like a plastic cover. Those were the houses in the refugee camp. Sometimes it'll be heavy rain and your neighbor houses just start sliding down the hill, and then the next day y'all over there rebuild.
So the expectation was like this amazing thing. Reality was maybe a little more black and white, where it's not as vivid as I thought it would be, where we expected a lot of things to be happening, a lot of things that we would have. So when we came to the United States, they said, don't bring anything with you. All I had is my pair of pants, my sweater, and then a t-shirt, and then a pair of shoes. That's all we had. We came to the United States and we didn't have any clothes for the first couple of weeks. Of course, there's this whole new system that you have to learn, you have to navigate, and some of it was easy, but then after the first year, things got a little more difficult because we had to do things on our own.
Yeah, the first time I got here, I was a little bit disappointed, I ain't gonna lie. So the first apartment we went to, it was a shit apartment. We got there, it's not clean outside. There was a warehouse in the front of our apartment, but it was abandoned. So nothing was working in there, nobody take care of it. And I thought we were gonna stop for a few minutes and just keep moving. They said, no, this is your home, you're gonna stay until you decide to move in a different place. As the time goes, we got used to it.
When I got here, we went to two rooms apartment. We were 6 people and they put us in two rooms apartment. I was like, what? Are we gonna stay here or we're still going? And they were like, yeah, this is the house that you're gonna be staying in for now. I didn't know anybody, so I was just staying in the house like whole day, go to swimming pool. I would be in the swimming pool like almost like 5 hours straight. Until the pool is closed, because I didn't have nothing to do. We didn't have TV, we didn't have internet, no phone. Sometimes I would just take a bus to go somewhere just to waste some time, because the day was too long. We was there for 2 years, and then we decided to move to Kentucky.
The paradise I wanted, I got. To an extent, I got a better living. My mom, she's way better, way better off than she were back there. Less stress, less working. She get more time with us. We get more time with her. We get to talk to her and actually get to know her. In Africa, like I rarely see my mom. I seen her like daytime. It was rare because she was at work and she'd come like in the afternoon.
And getting the food was a little bit challenging though. We'd go to Kroger pushing cars for like, the distance is not bad. It's about, say give it a 5 to 10 minutes. So we just carried the food in the hands because we had no vehicle. It was a bit challenging again because I thought everything was going to be easy, like I say, everything was going to go our way, but it was completely different.
Sometimes we would take 2 buses to get groceries and come back with 2 buses again. It was too hard for us. Me, my big brother, and my big sister, we would go to this store called Food Lion. They don't have it here. It took like almost 3 hours.
We had our food and blood in the fridge since we was not used to the American food, so it was hard. It just couldn't eat it. So my mom asked if we can go to shopping. They took us to the Kroger. We buy potato, any vegetable, beans, rice, and we started enjoying a normal life again. 7 months later, we moved close to the people that we speak same language because it was easier for us. And they had a vehicle at the time, so they could take us to shopping, go to do laundry, and any other things that we needed. So they would help us because they had more experience than we did. We changed the school as well. When we first arrived, we went to Shawnee High School. After we moved to Dina Drive, we went to Iroquois High School.
The first time I got in school, everybody was friendly, but the challenge thing was I didn't know what they're talking about.
In terms of school, I think language was probably one of the most difficult things that I dealt with in the beginning, because I spoke some English to where I didn't have to go to Newcomer Academy, where a lot of the new immigrant youth go in and are able to learn English for a little while. I went into like a regular JCPS school system and interacted with people who spoke mainly English. But I remember how fast they were talking when I came. I took a chemistry class at one point, and when I first started, and 90% of what they were saying was like, I didn't know what they were talking about. Again, it was because of the English thing. So that was a very difficult thing to manage. In terms of clothes, I didn't have clothes. I would wear the same shirt, the same khaki shorts all the time. I would, even the shoes that I had were like beat up shoes. So those were the only things that I had. But there were struggles that came with that because of how other students saw me, and they didn't understand that I didn't have anything else.
So when I first got here, they put me in a class with a lot of Spanish guys, and I was the only black guy there, and I didn't talk to nobody. They didn't talk to me. Like I would talk only when I get home. At school, I would be quiet all day, but I start talking when I get home because I didn't have nobody that I can talk to.
If the subject is not math, then you just you just keep it quiet in the class. You had enough friends, so it was a little bit lonely at the times. My first high school was Shawnee High School. We go there, and we did not know anybody except the people that say they came from Kenya. They speak Swahili and Kinyarwanda, and we really stick with them because there was a lot of Somali, Burundi, Kenyans people. They speak Swahili the most, so we stick with them at a school. And if we go to different classes, whatever classes you go to, you just stay quiet the whole time unless they're teaching math. Math is easy. English or any other language, number is number.
There was one kid who I didn't like, who was bullying me. When I get bullied, I ignore you. The teacher noticed that. They call us in the office and they say, what do you don't like about these kids? what does this kid do to you? I just say, I got no problem with him. You guys can ask him if he got problem with me. Every kids know that he's bullying me. The teacher tried to get him to not bully me, but he was still doing it.
One of my friends, they can't afford to go to school because if they go to school, if they do part-time work and the part-time in the school and their mama cannot afford to pay electric or water, trash in the house, it's gonna be too much money, and the job they have right now doesn't pay really good. If you make about $500 a week, and then you have to pay $1,000 for the house, and if you had electric or water, it's gonna reach to $1,500. And if you go kind of food, and then you're gonna run out of money. $500 is not gonna last the whole month. It's not because they do not want to. The job does not pay well enough.
My mother did have a job. One of the few places where she was able to work was a warehouse, and so that's a very physically demanding job where we noticed that my mom was beginning to deteriorate, like physically, she was physically struggling because of how physical the job was. It was one of the few jobs that she was able to do because she didn't speak English, and she's able to do that job without having to speak the language. So that was nice because she was able to pay the bills and stuff like that, and she didn't have to speak the language, but physically it was very demanding.
When I was in high school, and my dad and my little sister was the only people that were working at the time. My big sister got married, so she had to move out, and my dad was the only person working. And I went to college for about a year, and I dropped out because I want to support my family. We didn't have enough money to pay bills, so I went to work so I could have more money to provide. I had to make sure that I take them everywhere they want to go. I'll take them to the store, to doctor's appointment, like everywhere. Where we live, there's no bus there.
Challenging for me not go back to school is because I'm a second to the oldest brother home. Older brother, we only work at home, and my mom does not work often because she has been injured. When she was in the Congo, she was bitten by a snake on the right leg, so she can't stand there for the all day like a very long. It just got hurt. So she would take many days off to get a break, and then so it's up to me and my brother to pay bills.
The first challenge was like find a school for me because of my age. They want to put me in a middle school. At the same time, my age didn't allow me to go to middle school. That was a challenging thing because I want to learn, because like I can't just be staying home doing nothing, you know. The time they find a school, but they still put me in middle school. They put me in 7th grade. I was like 16 at that time.
Sometimes we would go to play at a park, and the people would start complaining about us coming here for free, and that they say they don't want us to go play, go use their swings or anything. I say, this is a public park. Anybody can use that. Be like, nah, you can't use it. You're African, and you stink, you do this, a booty scratch and all that. For me, I have no hate for anybody. So whatever they say, I pretended that I did not understand. They wouldn't let us use the park quite often.
Some of the ways the U.S. was in paradise is the big segregation between black people and African black people. That's rarely known between us, but you can feel it, and you get treated different when you were white people versus when you were black people, supposedly your own kind. Throughout the centuries, there's been a barrier drifting us apart.
Here, like in America, like you will be walking into the street for no reason, somebody will shoot you or rob you or something like that. I know this guy from ASILI. Yeah, he was shot. His friend in Mexico, he was like, hey boy, you wanna chill? And he went outside, and they shot him, and he was dead. Yeah, I did feel safe in Rwanda. In Rwanda, where I was staying at, I never had anybody kill somebody. People just die from sickness, something like that. But I never had anybody that killed somebody. But here, most people I know, they got killed by other people. That's why I don't feel safe like I did in Rwanda.
Black Americans, I'll say something, they'll be like they stop making noises, trying to mimic what I'm saying. They're trying to be offensive about it. They're not interested in trying to get to know what it actually is. They're just trying to throw insults.
We all don't speak the same language too, and we all not from the same country. Every time they see somebody who's from Somali, they will start saying things in the Somali at you. You have no idea what it is, and that they think that you're being rude, but you do not understand the Somali language. I think they would have asked where you're from first, and what language do you speak, and if they do not know if they do not feel comfortable about it, then they don't have to mess with you.
Like if you were to ask me like what tribe I'm from, I'll probably tell you. But if I went to an American and be like, what country your ancestors from, they're not gonna know. They're probably gonna say America, but if you push back 3-4 generations, they were in probably West Africa, South Africa, Somali coast. I think it comes from the propaganda that are fed to them by white people in power. Like when you search up Africa on Google, they're gonna show you jungles, but they're not gonna show you the big cities, the roads, the big stadiums they got.
I'm speaking for myself, but I know some people that be like, if I had a lot of money, I wouldn't come here. I would just stay there.
I would like to see a more connection between the younger children, especially those who are born here, and their home cultures, where there's a disconnect between them and their culture, but also between them and their parents. And I think that's not necessarily like somebody else has to fix it. I think we can fix that on our own, but I think that the resources, supports, and things like that can help make those things happen.
They can provide me right now that teach you a way of America and the way to find a good job. They don't. You need people who have an knowledge of the life, how you live your life in America, not involved with the gang things, whatever. The way I always talk to him, do not involve yourself with that. So that's why he need right now. Sometimes I may not be there. I'm getting older. I'm just saying he need support of the community that can get him away from doing bad stuff,
We still have a lot of people in Africa that expect us to support them in a financial situation, and sometimes you really have to if they have somebody who's sick, who's really sick, really bad, and they cannot afford the medication. In a camp, the medication is really cheap, but it just kind of relieve the pain. It doesn't take the pain away. And if we are here that day, they think we got a lot of money. It's a lot of money when you're there, but when it comes here, it's nothing. So if you do send it like $100 just to support them with their financial situation, it's gonna help them quite a lot, and that's another challenging too. They do really expect us to send them money quite often, but we do not have that much money to send over and over again.
In terms of programming, there was not a lot of programming because I didn't have access to any programming. I didn't know what was out there, and transportation would have been a difficult, a barrier to me accessing those services. But we did move after the first year to the south side, where there were a lot more Somali people, a lot of African people that I was able to befriend, for instance. But they also had different programs available in the community with, for instance, Americana Community Center, where we were able to play soccer and get help with homework, but also have access to other resources as well.
I'll say the needs to access to programs is a crucial thing in the youth, because if you keep them busy, if you keep them on the right path, that's the future to the country. If you're not helping them, if you're not keeping them busy and they're out here running around, getting themselves in trouble, they're gonna stay like that their whole life because that's all they know. I had Nini since I was since the program started actually. He used to come pick us up and dinner drive. So he was actually making a difference. He was showing us this is what you could do instead of fighting each other. Y'all could be playing soccer, y'all could be building a team, y'all could be training together, y'all could be playing video games together.
For me, I think more access to programming, because I've had access to programming for I think a couple of years before I went to college, and then I did my own thing. But I think it would have been nice if I had support, resources, opportunities, and services to help me go along the way in this new journey of being a young adult or whatever it may be. So I think there was like a difficulty for me navigating all of these systems, whether it's the education system or even like having a job and so on. Another thing would probably have been helping my mom find a job that is more suitable for her versus instead of just the warehouse job where it was physically demanding. One thing that my mom was really good at is cooking. She was a great cook. If she was able to use that skill, I think she would have been much better in terms of her physicality, but also, maybe she's a little more happy, but she's able to use her skill to do something that she likes, where it's not as demanding, versus what she was able to do when she first came, because she didn't speak English.
We're all human, so we all have to think of one thing. How can we help each other come together to fix what problem we have?
Being a part of the youth advisory board opened my mind. I say educating me on certain things. Like I said, community action. Some people don't get access to a community.
When I think of community, there's this saying that I grew up on. It takes a village to raise a child. If I'm in the neighborhood and I'm doing something I'm not supposed to, the neighbor is going to address it. They don't need to go to my mom and say, oh, Ahmed is doing this. They will address it there because I am their child as well. Any child in the community is going to be raised by the whole community. So that's what community feels like to me. It's a collective thing where we all work together for like a common goal.
Be kind, be understanding, don't be hard-headed, be open-minded, always trying to learn. Think for yourselves, make your own decisions so you can take your own consequences, not somebody else's.
A long way, but I was not at all alone. gone astray. Every suitcase held a home. Somebody call me refugee. Somebody call me refugee. Somebody call me refugee.